Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Aparata de sangamata satavara de sodavanta bamunjantu satang. So this is the opportunity to open yourselves, be the witness to the way it is, reflect on the impermanence of conditions, of phenomena, and as I've said many times before on these occasions, the reflective ability of a human being is to be able to observe how they feel, not to grasp, but to be the witness. In this relationship of Buddha to Dhamma, Buddha is a witness to Dhamma. So we take the Buddha position of the witness, the observer, not the critic, not the separate person, not the personality. So in that simple relationship of Buddha to Dhamma, we can see it as a kind of ceremonial attachment to different forms of Buddhism, but in practicality, that's the pattern. It's the Buddha that knows Dhamma the way it is. It's not Prince Siddhartha or the ascetic Gautama or me or you or anyone else. It's the ability to reflect is like this. It's not judgmental. So we're not, the thinking mind is a judgmental mind. We make judgments about ourselves and the world, the families, the societies we live in. So judgments are creations, they're not Dhamma, they're just phenomena that arise and cease. And we live in a society that forms judgments, self-criticism, criticism of the leaders, criticism of mothers, fathers, children, politicians. It's all part of the social reality that we are conditioned to recognize as phenomena rather than as something to grasp and hold on to. So the simple fact of life is that birth is the cause of death. If you're never born, you never die. So that this is so matter of fact, and nobody can deny that. If it has a beginning, it has an ending. Death is the ending of what began. And yet we celebrate birth, but death is something we oftentimes don't want to think about or observe in our own mind. We all have to experience the aging process of our parents, teachers, friends. And then, like on my birthday, people wish me to live for 120 years, which I know they mean well, But as a reality, I don't think I can do that as a person. I can't guarantee that Ajahn Sumedho is going to last that much longer, because for someone my age, death is very close. Now, the future is still death of the body. So when I reflect on life, I'm still in a living, breathing, fairly well-functioned form. But in terms of reflection, old age is like this. It's a lot of disabilities and problems. Senses fade, balance falters, mind blanks suddenly arise in your thinking process, short memory loss. And we can take this personally, like it's me that, I don't walk very well, and I can see it as some kind of personal disability and flaw. But when you reflect on it, it's just the way it is. A 91-year-old body is like this. It's not going to be like a long-distance runner or an athlete or like I used to be when I was younger. We all have to experience the loss of loved ones. And we don't like to think of our loved ones dying. We want them to live for us. So the future, as imagined, can be rather depressing. To think of someone you love, you're close to, you spend your life with, is going to die. And how does that feel when you think like that? Your reflective mind, the Buddha awareness mind, is aware. It feels, it's not a happy thought, not a happy image about the future. What if I said, I'm going to live for 120 years? I wonder how you'd feel. Can you imagine 120 years from now, what I'd look like, what I'd be like? Because I'm not the body. This is where meditation is so important, is to trust in awareness and reflect on impermanence. And your kind of youthful fantasies and imagine and your wishes about the future, you begin to see in terms not of as personal problems or just youthful fantasies or delusions, but they are impermanent. The future is unknown. And that's a fact. Right now, tomorrow is, we don't know. Tomorrow is, maybe we have plans, we have things, duties to perform, plans to go somewhere, meet people, or maybe we don't have anything to do. But in terms of here and now, the reality of awareness is always about here and now, not about tomorrow, not about the past, but the way it is here and now. Because that's where we experience life, always in the present. Experience is about here and now. So it's a sensory experience. We experience happiness and suffering and through the mind, through the senses. So the senses are what we cling to and hold to and identify with the sensual world that we're experiencing. So apparent here and now is consciousness. As I've said over and over again, consciousness is about now, rather than about a sensory experience. Consciousness is not a sensory experience. It's not about the senses. It's about the reality of being here and now, being Bhutto, being aware, reflecting on the changingness of life, of what we're thinking, feeling, through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, through the body, through the brain, through the emotions. Years ago, I used to set up one of these Zen koans about, is there something permanent? Because the Buddha said all conditions are impermanent, everything is impermanent. And then I noticed that my mind said, well, if Buddha said that, so that must be true. You shouldn't question it. You should just believe, because the Buddha said that in the scriptures, that you shouldn't question it. But a koan or a conundrum is an opportunity to investigate. Is it really true? Is there everything impermanent? And so through meditation, you investigate everything that you're experiencing. Through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, feeling. And I couldn't find any permanency in any of it. It changes very quickly. They call it the monkey mind because it's just hopping from one banana to another. So life is about impermanence, and these forms, they're impermanent, and there's nothing sad about it because it's Dhamma. It's the Dhamma of the way all these things that have happened, the past, the memories of the past, the plans for the future, the problems about the future. What is the future now in terms of experience? It's an imagination. What's going to happen to Amaravati when Ajahn Sumedho dies? Or when Ajahn Amaravati dies, or, then you start imagining scenarios or possibilities of what might happen. But that's always about imagining, forming images in your mind in the here and now. It's not, you can imagine anything. Anything you want to imagine or believe or hope, wish or dread. I remember when Luang Por Sumedho passed away, and he's a very kind of powerful, charismatic figure, great teacher that you get very attached to. You just want him to stay alive, even though he was quite incapacitated as a physical form. And then you think, what's going to happen to his monastery, Wat Pa Pong, when Luang Por Sumedho passed away, and on like that. Then we imagine it'll just dissolve into You couldn't imagine Wat Mapo without Ajahn Chah. But in terms of the reality of the way it is, that the form, what we called Luang Por Chah, was old and sick and worn out. And time to go. So you can rationalize. You think, well, you shouldn't be sad because he was very disabled, and it's about time. You can be very reasonable about it, about death. With the intellect, can always say, well, you can't live forever. Things change. You can say the words, all conditions are impermanent, things change. But then in my experience of meditation, as I've developed the reflective capacity more and not just follow belief systems and ideas of my own, where I actually became the Bhutto, the witness to the way it is. I had the insight into letting go of sankharas, of phenomena, of conditions. And at first, letting go to my cultural mind was to get rid of it. To let go means to just get rid of things you don't like and don't want. Or to form a view, but I'm too attached. I'm too attached to life. I'm too attached to this person. I'm too attached to this house or this place. And so we form a sense of ourself as being attached. And then we think, being Buddhist, we should not be attached to anything. Another brilliant thought that comes to the mind. I shouldn't be attached to anything. After all these years being a Buddhist monk, meditating, I shouldn't be attached to anything. So the mind will produce the sense of, there's something wrong with attachment. And if you've been a proper meditator and a good monk, then you wouldn't be attached to anything. Those are maybe inspiring ideas, but they are that. They're not about the way it is. It's not about, as a person, to get rid of everything or you shouldn't be attached, but to recognize attachment to other people, to conditions, to places, is like this. Is your witness to it. Not a person trying to become unattached to phenomena. In monastic pujas, we oftentimes reflect. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. And I remember when I first heard that, I thought, that's very sad. That's really sad, all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will be separated from me. Because it is sad in terms of attachment to the things that are mine, all beloved and pleasing. What is mine and what is beloved and pleasing, as a person you want to hold on to and live forevermore. because that is the way we think and cling to things. We want our money, our place, our country, our friends, our parents, our teachers, our friends, our husband, wife, children. We want them to be not to be separated from us, but to be with us forever and ever. So reflecting on that's an impossibility. That's just romantic nonsense. But there I've made a judgment again, saying it's romantic nonsense. It is what it is. But it's not sad, where all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. Is, in terms of meaning, it's quite sad to those who are young and who are very attached to what they regard as theirs. But I'm encouraging you to really reflect on attachment is like this. It's not wrong or bad or good, it's just the way it is. It's not about that you shouldn't be attached, because that's the ego again. The ego can grab these teachings and just say, a good monk wouldn't be attached to life. Be free from attachment. That's, what you read in the scriptures or a hagiography. But the Buddha's reflective ability to see that conditioned phenomena is, it has qualities of beauty and ugliness, good or bad, right or wrong, virtue, vice, heaven, hell. These are words, these are concepts that we form through thinking. And thinking about unattachment, of letting go of everything, is still thinking, even though it's intelligent thinking. But if you just hold on to the thoughts, then it leads to grief, sorrow, despair, and anguish, because all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, does become otherwise, is separated from me. And during one's life, one has to experience, that's part of human experience, that every human being must experience, whether we like it or not. There's no kind of heavenly state we can go to where we can live permanently happy forever after. Many Buddhists want to be reborn into a heavenly realm. So in Thailand, many Thai Buddhists just try to lead a good life and do a lot of good things. We're very generous, meritorious, which is good. But good is another word, another concept about phenomena. Heavenly realms, deva realms, are beautiful. And that's their natures. They're very, they don't have coarse bodies like we have. We have to live within an animal body where the views and concepts about the deva realms, the ethereal bodies. But ethereal is another word that is made up. Ethereal bodies are still impermanent. Because in the scriptures there are stories about Devatas reaching the highest Deva realm and then dying. So any form, whether it's ethereal or material, young or old, male or female, is a form. It's a sankhara. Is consciousness a sankhara? You know, when we talk about not being reborn, what happens when to an arahant? When an arahant passes away, they're not supposed to be reborn again. So what happens to them? And so we can form images, imagine images of arahants in the top of Mount Kailash in Tibet, or arahants in the Himalayas, or arahants in Scotland, or arahants. You can form any kind of images that you're so inclined to do, because you believe you're not an arahant, and you think arahants are not reborn. So then you think they're floating in space, or they come some kind of formless spirit, or we don't know. We don't know that. And just to know we don't know is like this, that all the imaginations of happiness, perfection, beauty, heavenly realms, deva realms, or we might go the other way. They're not, once you're dead, that's it. There's nothing left. There's no soul. Just when arhat dies, that's it. That's the end of that being. Completely disappears. But what, the Buddha talks about the deathless reality. And this monastery I intentionally named Amaravati, the deathless realm, beyond death. And what is beyond death? And you can't imagine it. You can imagine heavenly realms, deva realms, Brahma realms. You can imagine oblivion, nothing. But all these words, whether it's oblivion, nothing, or Brahma realm, or my soul will be reborn again, they're all words, nothing wrong with the words, but they're sankharas. All words, no matter how divine, spiritual, beautiful, meaningful, are sankharas. So that's why I encourage you to investigate just words, whether they're intelligent, nonsense, doesn't make any difference. Words themselves, wise teachings in the scriptures, or just utter rubbish from gossip columnists. They're words that are created, that we tend to create ourselves with words. Our ego is about me. And me is a word created by somebody centuries ago, English language. Ajahn Sumedho is a word, 2 words. They're very nice words. I like them, but they are words. They're sankharas. And just to investigating the impermanence of thoughts, of words themselves, no matter how sacred or profound or vulgar or stupid. It's not the point of being profound or stupid, but of just being a witness to sankharas are like this. Good sankharas come and go, bad sankharas come and go. And when I use this word sankhara, it is the Pali word for phenomena or condition, a created thing. But what I have found in my life as a Buddhist monk is the deathless reality. It's not a thing. It's not a condition. It's not a phenomenon. But it's apparent here and now, timeless. That you begin to realize, rather than just chant the words and believe in the concepts, it's still empty phenomena until you realize that the words are merely directional signs. Like the words, you want to go to London, and you go out on the M1 and you see a sign saying London. Only a very ignorant person would think that that sign is London. But it's pointed in a direction. So Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are like that. They're pointers in a direction of here and now. And that doesn't matter where you are physically, because you're always here and now. Timeless. Can you imagine timelessness? All words are created through time and space. Space and forms are the illusions that we cling to and live with and believe in and get deluded by. But enlightenment means to see beyond the forms, not to get rid of them, not to believe in them, but to realize that the Buddha's teaching are directional signs. At the Amaravati, the deathless reality that we are. Realize this is a great realization. It's not something that you imagine anymore. You're getting beyond imagination or just blind faith in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Ultimate reality or Dhamma what is ultimate reality? I loved to question myself years ago about, I take refuge in Dhamma, ultimate reality, but I don't, I kind of understand the meaning. But ultimate reality is what? It's you can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Or God. The word God, for those of you who are brought up in theistic religions, it's a created word. And that's not diminishing its power. You can say, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God. Or I believe in God. But that's not about Buddho, knowing Dhamma, that all conditions, whether it's belief and grasping or disbelief and denying, is like this. Denying the existence of God is words again, grasping ideas. Believing in something called God or even an ultimate reality, absolute reality, is like this. But what is absolute reality? Is it an experience that you get through meditation? Is enlightenment an experience that you're looking forward to? That you're looking forward to becoming enlightened if you really sit and meditate for hours? Devote your life as a samana, do a lot of good works, get rewarded with something you imagine is the ultimate human experience called enlightenment. But it's here and now, it's not about personal. Is Ajahn Sumedho enlightened? You can ask yourself, that's just words again. Was Luang Por enlightened? Was Ajahn Mahabua enlightened? And these are questions in the Thai forest tradition that many people ponder, When Luang Por became disabled, he could no longer talk. And then many people started, I don't think he's enlightened, because if he was an arahant, this would never happen. Arahants can speak, and when they die, they sit in samadhi, in full lotus posture, and just pass away. That's the ideal. Or Luang Por was disabled for 10 years, seriously so. So then the question was, Luang Por enlightened? And then we imagine if a devoted attachment to Ajahn Chah makes us say, yes, he was, he definitely enlightened. Or others can think, I doubt it, an arahant couldn't be disabled like that. But reflecting on the way it is that these thoughts, whether we absolutely believe he was a fully enlightened arahant or not, they're images that we form in our mind. That's the way it is. That's the wisdom reflection. All conditions are impermanent. And they are. Is consciousness then, not just sensory consciousness, which is obviously very impermanent, like the senses themselves are very delicate experiences that we have, and sensory consciousness through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, to the brain. These things, the brain, you can go brain dead. You can lose your memory. You can change your gender. You can do all kinds of things with the body. But is the body, when the senses in the body, when they go blind or deaf, lose your sense of smell, and there's still consciousness. So consciousness beyond the senses is the vinyanang anidasanang anantang sapado pabang. Consciousness without feature, without end. And what is that in terms of Dhamma? That is Dhamma. That is absolute reality. And that's what you begin to realize through meditation as you reflect on the simple truth that all conditions are impermanent. So consciousness, the pure consciousness, is not a condition, not a thing, not a phenomenon. That doesn't die. That's the deathless reality, the Amaravati. So is Ajahn Sumedho enlightened? In terms of Ajahn Sumedho are words that can never be enlightened. The body isn't going to get enlightened. So was Ajahn Chah enlightened? Well, as a person, nobody's personality ever gets enlightened because it's very conditioned, very impermanent, very fleeting, very changeable. Personality is definitely like the monkey mind swinging from one tree to the next, very restless and discontented with what you have, looking for something better. But consciousness its very nature is pure. Not sensory consciousness, but pure consciousness without feature, without end. The amatta Dhamma, deathless reality, is apparent here and now, timeless. Come and see for yourself. It's a wake-up call. It's like ehipassiko is in the Pali words when we chant the qualities of Dhamma, it's ehipassiko. Come and see. It's like an invitation, very polite invitation to find out for yourself. And that's what meditation is about. It's a ehipassiko invitation. You must realize this for yourself. No matter how wise a teacher, a guru, a monk might be, clinging to the teacher is still not ehipassiko. It's not apparent here now. It's still the personality, the person worshiping a physical form and his own views and opinions about the nature of the teacher being enlightened or not. So this is something that I find very important to keep reminding you so that you do begin to realize this for yourself. And that's the whole point of this life. This monastic form is not about escaping the world or becoming something. Getting a status as a senior monk, senior nun, becoming famous, and all these are very worldly ambitions. No, you're reminded the word bhikkhu means beggar. One who depends on the kindness of others. So you don't have to become a bhikkhu to be a beggar, to depend on the kindness of others. What's important is to follow the signs to Dhamma, ultimate reality for yourself, not just try to get some status or to become nobody. Sometimes we want to just be a recluse and hide away. Just leave me alone, don't bother me, I'm meditating. That's not ehipassiko, come and see. It's me as a personality wanting to not be bothered with others, not be annoyed, not have duties or responsibilities that live, in a living community. You are inevitably caught up in duties and responsibilities. So, it's an ideal we can think, I just want to live a quiet life in the forest, meditating on Dhamma, and become a beggar or an alms mendicant. Alms mendicant sounds a little nicer than a beggar. But when I became a British citizen years ago, I changed my name from Robert Jackman to Bhikkhu Sumedho, so my first name is Bhikkhu or beggar. It's not Ajahn or Jalkun or anything high up. Just a simple alms mendicant. But I can still be attached to that as a sense of my humility and my humbleness, and I'm not after status, and I'm still bragging about wanting to be left alone, being a recluse, being nobody, is still being somebody. But being a senior monk is like this. I've experienced a lot of respect and gratitude from people. People are incredibly generous. So I'm very grateful for that. But it's not demanded or expected, because basically I'm just a beggar of no importance, and even that could be a form of pride. But as I rest in the silence of consciousness, consciousness is pure, unmitigated silence. It's peaceful. It's not a creation through developing concentration. It's not like I've got really good samadhi and I just live in a realm of a very special state of consciousness. This is the ordinary consciousness we're all sharing. That is our true nature that we can rest and abide in, relax into, and realize there's nothing to fear, nothing to regret. So I offer this as a reflection.